Good afternoon. Today is Sunday, June 28th, and as we continue our study through Proverbs, today we're going to be in the fourth chapter, verses 11 through 27. It's a continuation of wisdom, which is what the whole book of Proverbs is about. But today we get a little bit of an insight into what happens if we don't pay attention to God's words of wisdom. So as we start with today, let's ask some questions. Okay, I think this is a unique question because it's so far out. What is one goal or achievement you would like to accomplish in the next 5 to 10 years? When I typed this, I thought it was going to say like months. So I thought we'd all put something down like get over the coronavirus or come back to church or things like that. But it's years. So, like, for those of you, you're going to be like, I don't know, between 22 and 28 or something like that in 10 years. So by the time you're 28 years old, 25 years old, what would you like to have accomplished? And what will it take to see this goal or accomplishment come to life? So I would, make sure you set your goals high, not so high that they're unattainable, but so high that you have something to work for. So start thinking about what you would like to do in the next 10 years and start planning for that. The reason that's in this lesson with wisdom is because the path you take to accomplish that goal could be good or bad depending on what you base it on. So, if you're going to accomplish this goal, we have to start off with some wisdom. So, let's start with verses 11 through 13. Remember, this is Solomon. I instruct you in the way of wisdom and lead you along straight paths. When you walk, your steps will not be hampered. When you run, you will not stumble. Hold on to instruction. Do not let it go. Guard it well, for it is your life. So in these verses, we see that basically following wisdom, the wisdom of God, is going to make our life easier. Now, hold on again, because we always get to this point. It doesn't mean it's going to make our life easy and that we're not going to have any problems or anything like that. It just means that if we walk in the ways of wisdom, making decisions will be easier. We'll know what to do, and we'll also be able to trust more in God with the outcome. All right. So when we look at the questions, what path did Solomon want his readers to take? And what were the promises that went with that advice? Well, he says, follow your wisdom, walk along straight paths. You'll not stumble. You'll not be hampered. So the straight path of wisdom is going to be the easiest. In verse 13, it tells us to hold on to the wisdom. Why did he need to tell them that? Okay, so let's stop a second. I'll let you think about it. Why did Solomon need to tell his readers to hold on to the wisdom that they had gained? Okay, I think the reason is that we tend to find wisdom, see wisdom, and then we don't want it. We get tired of it. It's no fun, or it's not what we thought it would be. So he needs to tell his readers to hold on to that wisdom because it's in the long run, it's going to be important. Solomon is once again telling us that having knowledge and wisdom is not much good if we don't live by it. So, a silly example of that would be that if you studied for a test and you read a question and you knew the right answer, and then all of a sudden, for some reason, even though you knew the right answer, you wrote down the wrong answer. So even though you studied and you knew the right answer, it did you absolutely no good because you didn't put it down. The same is true with wisdom. Having wisdom, knowing what's right, is not really going to work unless we actually use it. And the fourth thing here is not a question. It's just a kind of something for you to think about. One of Solomon's sons, Rehoboam, was the king after Solomon. Sometimes in the New Testament, when writers of letters write to a specific person, they will address it at the beginning. Like when Paul wrote to Timothy, he kind of put, Dear Timothy. Okay. Well, Solomon didn't do this. He's just writing this letter to all the believers in his day. But probably because his son was going to be the next king, he hoped that his son would read it and apply it to his life. All right, the next verses, 14 through 19. Do not set foot on a path of the wicked or walk in the way of evildoers. Avoid it. Do not travel on it. Turn from it and go your way. For they cannot rest until they do evil. They are robbed of sleep till they make someone stumble. They eat the bread of wickedness and drink the wine of violence. The path of the righteous is like the morning sun, shining ever brighter till full light of day. But the way of the wicked is like a deep darkness. They do not know what makes them stumble. All right, now these verses are really good. Okay, they're the complete opposite of the first ones. They're a picture of the downward spiral into evil and not being able to identify what is real. All right, so let's think about pick a person that you can think of, real, not real, school, whatever, and this person does not use wisdom. So if we look in verse 14, he is telling us not to set foot on the path of the wicked or walk in the way of the evildoers. So he's telling us, don't hang out with wicked people. Don't do what evildoers do. We don't need to be doing that. Avoid it. Do not travel on it. Turn from it. Because in verse 16, it's telling us that people that are evil, they want to make other people evil. I don't know if you've met a person like that in your life, but there are people who are mean or bad or whatever word you want to put there. And in order for them to feel okay about what they're doing, they want other people to do it as well. So when you follow people that do evil, it's going to be very important to them that you do evil with them. And they're not going to stop trying until you do it. They eat the bread of wickedness and drink the wine of violence. Then we switch to 18. The path of the righteous is like the morning sun, shining ever brighter till the full light of day. Then in 19, we go back to the evil people. But the way of the wicked is like a deep darkness, and they do not know what makes them stumble. All right, so if you look up here at number 1, it says this is a picture of a spiral into evil and not being able to identify what is real. You will meet people in your life that have done bad things for so long that they are unable to tell what's good and what's bad. You may already know people like that, but the evil things they do in them is just embedded in them. And so if you were to go up to them and ask them what if something they did was right or wrong, they truly would not be able to tell you because they have done evil for so long, they can't tell the difference between right and wrong. Number 2, what does Solomon advise we do when we are presented with temptation to go down the paths of disobedience? Don't do it. Run quickly. Turn around and go the other way. Do not follow disobedience or people that disobey God. Run quickly. Number 3, how does Solomon describe people who go down this path? And what does he tell us about the dangers of selfish decision making? Okay, we already talked about that. They're going to get people to be wrong with them. What is the description of the path of righteousness? It is righteous like the morning sun, shining ever brighter till the light of the full day. And that is good news. That sounds much better than wickedness is like the darkness and they do not know what makes them stumble. So that gives us hope that if we follow God's will, our path will be light. All right, and here's the end of it, the last 8 verses. My son and daughters, pay attention to what I say. Turn your ear to my words. Do not let them out of your sight. Keep them within your heart, for they are life to those who find them and health to one's whole body. Above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. Keep your mouth free of perversity. Let corrupt talk far from your lips. Let your eyes look straight ahead. Fix your gaze directly before you. Be careful though the paths for your feet and be steadfast in your ways. Do not turn to the left or to the right as you do not follow evil. Solomon uses the human body as a metaphor for wise living. There are some scripture passages in the New Testament where Paul does the same thing. Okay, how can we show wisdom in our words? That would be well, the way we talk to people, the way we talk about people, the stories we tell about people. Okay, what are some selfish attitudes or actions that tempt you? This is gonna, each of you are gonna have a different answer here, so think about this a minute. What do you need to do to turn away from these sinful attitudes, run the other way? And why is it important to remember the impact our actions have on others? Well, we're supposed to be representing Christ and sharing his good news with people. And if we're doing things we aren't supposed to do, they're going to see that and know that. Thanks, guys. Have a good week. We're working on getting back together for Sunday school.